very good day to you. I am Jaimmy Nanayakkara, and today we have with us a very special lady. Now, this lady is somebody that we can learn a lot from, a lady that we can gain a lot of inspiration from, which is why we have with us none other than Miss Deshika Rodrigo to have a conversation about how she got to where she is today, her inspirations, and what exactly she is doing right now. Now, before we get on into conversation with Ms. Deshika Rodrigo, I want to tell you that she is, in fact, a very special individual because she is an award winning HR expert. She's a motivational speaker, and most importantly, she's also an executive coach, which is something I'm very interested to hear about. So, we have with us Ms. Deshika. I hope you are having an amazing day so far. As to start off this discussion, ma'am, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you've accomplished so far. Now, I know a lot of people out there have already heard your name, but for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself, your accomplishments, and what you have done in your life so far.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So, I'm Deshika Rodrigo. I was born and bred in Sri Lanka. I had my early education out of Colombo in Gampaha, Nigambo, and Gaul because my dad was a government medical specialist. And then, when I was around 9 years old, I moved to Colombo and I went to ladies' college. I had a lot of my early learnings and my formative years in my school, for which I'm very grateful. Um, right after my O levels, my dad decided that I should do science subjects because he was in the science field himself, which proved to be a bad decision because I was not very good at it. And so when I was around 16 plus, my parents decided this is not going anywhere and they pulled me out of school. And I started working in an international bank, which at the time was considered a good career for a young person. So I spent 4 years in the bank. Like I was in school on a Friday and I started working on a Monday. It was a rude awakening, and but good because it taught me a lot of things. And then about 4 years into that, I moved overseas to continue my studies. And then my parents arranged a marriage for me, as is typical in some circles, at least in my family.
Yes.
And I moved to the States. And then I went back to university, and this time I was able to do what I wanted to do, and I did a degree in psychology and English, an honors degree, which actually I enjoyed. Thereafter, started working at Microsoft Corporation, and that was really my first foray into HR.
Right.
So as I always say, I wasn't really a trained HR person as such, but I got into HR and I loved it. Microsoft was awesome because it taught me about how big multinational companies work, and it was in a high growth stage at the time. And then about 14 years into my stay overseas, we moved back to Sri Lanka. I had 2 kids by then who were young. I took a break for a couple of years just till my kids were a little older, and then I went back to work. Now, the point I have to stress here, Jamie, is I didn't have to work at that time. It was an option.
Right.
But later, it turned out to be a lifesaver because I ended up being a single mom, which I'll talk about later. And having a job, having a livelihood was really the best thing that I could have. In hindsight, that was the best thing I did. I worked for 3 companies in Sri Lanka, including at the Hyderabad Group, where I was a group HR head, and then at Standard Chartered, where I was there for 11 years as the head of HR. And then I made the next big decision in my life, which was to leave corporate life as I had known it. And I ventured out, not quite being sure of what I was going to do. But there were lots of circumstances around that decision, and I thought that was the best thing for me. So here I am now. I spend about 60% of my time on executive coaching and the balance time on HR consultancy, training and development, and women's empowerment.
I think all of that you just mentioned, how you segregate your time, all of that fields that you have gotten yourself into, you've done such an amazing job, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But honestly, the story that you just told me about how you got here, where you started from, for me being a young person, being a young girl living in Sri Lanka, I feel like a lot of those decisions that you spoke of are decisions that we have to make at certain points as well. Like, I know working right when you're 16 years old, going from, being spoon fed at school to going into a corporate field would have been so difficult and so new of a challenge, I feel like. But you pulled through all of it. So I just want to, cut through the conversation and ask you what exactly helped you as a woman, helped you as a person cut through all of that challenges and, wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this today. What exactly motivated you to do that?
I think what motivates me, Jamie, is I like seeing transformation. I've seen my employees, my colleagues, my kids, um, and that really is what gets me going and keeps me going. Um, I believe I'm a nurturer of people and talent, which is what I do as a coach and
Rightly.
also as an HR person. Um, so yeah, I guess that's what really keeps me going.
I think for you, you are one of those rare people that we find that absolutely love transformation. You transformed yourself, definitely. You've been through so many challenges and you were able to transform yourself, but rightly so. Right now, you also engage in executive coaching, which is kind of a transformation that happens in people. You've told me last time when I spoke to Miss Deshika, she told me this beautiful thing. She said, a lot of the problems we have, even if it's in a corporate field or even if the world in general, the problems will be solved if we know what the problem is in the first place. And I think that's exactly what you help people reach their full potential through executive coaching.
Yes.
But I'm going to be honest with you, Ms. Deshika. Up until I spoke to you, I've never personally heard of executive coaching. So I've heard of like swimming coaches and singing coaches, but never really executive coaching. So talk to me a little bit about this. I know this is one of the fastest growing industries as well. So explain to us a little bit about executive coaching as a whole and what you do.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Jamie, and thank you. You're exactly right. It is the second fastest growing industry in the world for the last 10 years, next to only IT. It's a $2.4 billion industry. So, executive coaching really is where you work with a person who is neutral, who is unbiased, who will work with you to reach your highest aspirations, to achieve your ambitions, to gain clarity on what it is you want in life, address some of your insecurities and your stumbling blocks. In other words, someone who will not judge you and have your back. You know, I at the moment I coach for CEOs and I coach a lot of women as well as younger people, Gen Zs like you. And I think everyone can use a coach. A lot of younger companies now offer coaching as part of their benefits package. Um, I wish I had had a coach when I was younger. I probably would have been a better version of myself, if I had.
But I guess also the experiences that you have had so far and you being able to get through is what kind of helped you get to where you are today. And that's what you're helping other people do, reach their full potential through executive coaching.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. Someone who will help you. And a good coach will never tell you what to do. A coach will guide you, ask you the right questions, and gently maybe push you in a certain direction, although not always, so that you find your own answers and your own solutions. So that's really what a coach will do.
That to me gave me a lot of clarity about what you do. I know that it, by the sounds of it, being this third party neutral person, helping people, get to that highest point in their personal life, that to me doesn't sound like an easy job. I'm going to be honest with you. That feels like, it's a lot of feelings and emotions that are involved. It's a very sensitive topic. But how exactly, when you first started doing this, did you have an executive coach yourself, but you said you didn't? How exactly did you get into it? What made you think, I want to do this someday?
I'm glad you asked, Jamie, because I should have mentioned that earlier. Actually, I really believe, Jamie, that sometimes people or circumstances kind of impact your life and kind of direct you in a certain down a certain path. At Standard Chartered, we had a mentoring program, and a young mentee once told me, Desh, you should really think about this. And so that really was the starting point. And when I left corporate life, I really wasn't sure of what I was going to do. But I remembered what I was told by this young man, and so I got certified. But the thing to remember though, Jamie, is when you are picking a coach, you need to pick someone that you're compatible with, someone who is certified, someone whose value system isn't completely kind of at odds with yours, someone you have a certain level of chemistry or understanding with. And then I mean, I've seen amazing things happen with my coaching clients. And honestly, I'm the proudest person when I hear one of my coaching clients make an awesome presentation or, receive an award or something.
You
I'm
sound
like,
she sounds like such a proud mama.
I really am.
Oh, that to me just shows how you I mean, I've not met any other executive coaches personally, but just by the thing you're saying and just how proud you are of your clients. I feel like more than clients, it's come to like a level of relationship where it's a interpersonal relationship, and just how proud you are of their accomplishments and achievements just makes me so happy about you choosing executive coaching, because I'm sure that you're helping so many people out there. So thank you for that, Deshika. But speaking on the same topic, you also mentioned earlier that you are involved in women empowerment. Now, I feel like when girls and women see you per se, that in itself is such an empowerment, because I see you and you carry yourself with so much pride, you carry yourself with so much confidence, and that in itself is empowering for us girls to see. But other than that, I know that you specifically help women in a workplace or women in the corporate field. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you hit on my passion. Totally. Becoming a single mom when I was a little under 40 taught me how important it is to be employed, like I said before. And so I use my own story, both in corporate life as well as a woman, as a mom, as a career woman, and I share my experiences to help motivate other women. I share not just what I did right, but also what I should probably have done more of or not done at all. And I really feel that we need to, as women, we need to support each other. We need male allies who will support us. If you look at Sri Lanka, Jamie, we have more than half our population is women, of which only 33% are gainfully employed. And of the 33, the majority are factory workers, tea pluckers, and domestic aids. So there are issues, there are biases, there are prejudices, there are wrong cultural beliefs, and a lot of workplace practices that are not conducive for women to work. So I feel the way around it is, we have to believe in ourselves. We have to know that yes, the odds are stacked against us, but together we can do this. And so really that's what I teach, and that's what I try to impart. I talk about my story, how difficult it was as a single mother to raise two children and to work, but how important it is to do that, and how you have to kind of challenge your own self-limiting beliefs and tell yourself, yeah, I can do this.
Oh, I myself, I'm a very, how would I say this, not a feministic person, but I do believe in women empowerment, and I do my little part to make sure that women out there are as strong as they could be through my example or whatnot. But just hearing what you said right now, it is so, like, inside me was just melting. I was just like, yes, you go, girl. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And you spoke of something very important. I know I'm straying a little away from the conversation, but I think people listening in will gain a lot of that. You spoke of how me as a young girl as well, that's just getting into like the corporate field, the working environment, a lot of the challenges I face a lot of social norms that's like, oh no, this is what you should be doing instead of what you want to do. So that's something that you said challenged you as well. So talk to me a little bit about that. What are certain cultural or social, like patriarchal beliefs that you had to, pull through to get to where you are today?
Yeah, we have a lot of them. You're spot on. And this is not even a Sri Lankan problem, it's worldwide. You look at the statistics, look at Fortune 500 companies, it's like 5% of them are women. So, yeah, the odds are stacked against us. Cultural beliefs, social norms, biases, lots of them. I just did a program actually on gender sensitivity, and we talked about some of these things. So, I think the first thing is people need to be aware that we have these biases. A lot of us, even our male friends and colleagues and maybe partners, they don't believe that they have this bias because that's what they've been taught to believe, and they think it's right.
And they've never experienced it themselves, so they don't know that there is
Exactly.
a bias or whatnot, right?
Exactly. So, like there's this thing called a maternal bias. So you recruit a lady, and she's just gotten married or is going to get married, and you think, oh my gosh, she might have a baby in 9 months, and that means I'm going to have to deal with maternity leave, and who's going to cover for her? So you don't give her a chance. Now that is a bias. Because a woman has a child does not mean she's less capable, her output is going to be less, or that she's going to be slacking off. So that's a bias. Then, you look at the statistics, they're frightening. I can talk about this all day, Jamie, but there's a thing called performance bias, where women are held to a higher standard. The output or the performance that women are expected to make in any career is greater than a man. There's also this thing that when a woman makes a mistake, it has more consequences. Let me ask you a question. When you go to a meeting and you're surrounded with ladies and gentlemen, just watch, okay? How often does a woman get interrupted? How often does a man get interrupted? And why? So these kinds of things are there. So, the way I see it, the first step, honestly, Jamie, is we ourselves as females and gentlemen need to be aware that these biases exist. Then we need to address what our own biases are. Then there are ways to do these things, and understand that when women are in the workforce, you create a more diverse environment, which makes it better for everyone, for bottom line, for everything. So, yeah, it has to be addressed.
I want to touch on your personal life a little. I know you're a mom of two beautiful children, and a lot of people say, oh, women can't have it all. And in my books, though, I would like to disagree with all of those people and say, no, you are a woman that definitely has it all, because not only you have a career, but you also have beautiful children and a beautiful a life with your kids as well. So talk to me a little bit about that. How has being a working mom impacted your children's life, or what advice do you have to give to everybody out there who thinks, oh, a woman's role is to be a mom, stay at home, because you can't juggle or deal with both? So what do you have to say through your own personal experiences of being able to juggle both and doing it pretty well as well?
I wasn't always pretty good. My kids will tell you how many times I forgot lunch, or I forgot to pack the school costume for the play, or and I hated myself. I would cry about it afterwards. It's tough. It's really tough to be a mom and to be a wife and to be a working woman. But it can be done, is what I think. How did I deal with it? Is my daughter calls me an Uber planner. So it doesn't come naturally to me, but I trained myself to be very, very meticulous. I had Excel spreadsheets for their timetables and their school meals, and for their exam schedules and everything. There were timetables, and you have to ask for help. Parents, domestic help, if you can manage it, whatever. You can't do it alone. And I think the most important thing is, I think most of us moms try to do the best we can, given that we have jobs and we have other commitments. So to know you're not perfect. The other thing that I wanted to say in that regard, Jenny, is that, I think being a working woman, I was able to role model the way for my kids, for my son as well, to see what it's like to have a parent, a mom who works. As a result, I had more balance in my life. They got to see me role modeling the way for them, and I was able to afford to get them not everything, but at least some of the things that they wanted.
The best quality of life you
Yes,
can give them.
yes, that I could manage. So it's not easy, but it can be done. You can't do it alone, and you're not perfect, and it's okay.
That's just like what everybody should hear when they wake up in the morning. If I hear that every day, I feel like I do so much better. Just sometimes life drags you down, like you said. Nothing is perfect, and I have an amazing mother as well, and she's done everything. And yeah, I've been tough on her. I feel like certain times, like you said, you forget certain things. You just cannot do all of it. But I think one thing we need to realize is to forgive ourselves, to go easy on ourselves, and just try a little harder tomorrow than we did today, as you very rightly said. I hope I'm not keeping you for too long, but this has been such an interesting conversation. Just one last question. You've always been very particular about how, as a woman, you got help from a lot of other people as well. You got help from men, women, everybody out there. But something that I see personally in our society, in especially in the corporate field, is that women tend to kind of pull down each other. Now I don't know if this is something that's exclusive to me, but a lot of the mentality, like for example, Deshika, it was always my aunt and the females that say, "Oh, sit like this, don't climb the tree." It's this mentality that's passed from woman to woman that kind of holds us back a little. What do you think about that? Because you did touch on it earlier on, but I think this would be a really interesting conversation for us to get your perspective.
There's actually a name for it. It's called the Queen Bee syndrome, where women who have reached a certain level in their profession career, they hold other women back. So we need to address that, and we need to understand that when women work together, Melinda Gates said this beautifully in her book, Moment of Lift. When women support each other, we become a force and we lift everyone else up with us.
And I think that's essential in today's day and age, especially. We need to support each other despite of gender, despite of, race, religion, whatever. It's all about supporting each other, because there's so many vices against us. I think COVID is the best example. So we should all just work together as humanity to get to that level that you were speaking of. Now, we've been here for quite some time having amazing conversation. But just before we leave, could you talk to everybody out there? Just final advice, final words that you want to give everybody listening right now.
So we are all shaped by circumstances, by our experiences, by people, and these things hold us back, and it's tough. But you know what? You can really achieve what you want to achieve if you set your mind to it. Understand that and go for it. So know that you can do it and just go for it.
I love that motivational bit that you gave us in the end. I feel like this entire conversation has been such an inspiration, and I'm so grateful for you for being here amidst your busy schedule. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for sharing all of this, because I'm sure that people out there will truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thanks,
Have an
thanks.
amazing day ahead.
Thank you for having me.